bought a NordicTrack Comercial 2450, and here's my unboxing and setup video. The box itself was pretty large. It took 3 of us to get it downstairs, and we had a dolly. We didn't have that far to move it, but it was still took quite a bit of muscle to get it in. And some of the instructions there say, team lift and use a dolly and things like that, but we kind of muscled it down any way we could. The box is pretty stable and it protects it pretty well, so you can have it on its side. As long as you don't set it down upside down, I think you're going to be fine with it. Follow the instructions to take the box off. They're right up here on the corner of the box, and I took it apart pretty slowly and I cut all the pieces of cardboard down. I didn't have enough space to have a pile of garbage and put the unit together. I tried to keep my area clean, so I had lots of room to set it up. Okay, so here's how it looks packed inside. Everything seems to be in order. Here is the instructions. That's where we'll start. I always like to read the instructions before I get started on anything. So we take the instruction packet out of the box, and it comes with all of the gear you need, all of the screws. There is a little tool, though I did use my own sockets to put it together. You also get a 1-year subscription to iFit. You also have in the packet instructions for iFit and a welcome to manual. The instruction manual, the user's manual, tells you how to put it together. That's the important one. And also if you need help, and send us your feedback. We hope that we have the smiley face and not the unhappy face where we need support. So you'll see that some of the stuff is packaged in green plastic and some in clear, and that is because each side is specific. So yes, the different color bags are for different sides, but you'll also notice in here that it's labeled as well. Can we see there? This is labeled left, so that even if you did take it out of the bags, you can still clearly see which is which. Once you get the box all the way off, you can see there is stuff underneath. I believe that's the console, which some people have said in previous videos that they ship it with the console underneath, and I didn't like that. But the unit is not putting any weight on it because of these blocks. So there is other stuff under there. Just be careful when you're taking it out not to slide it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to put that block out of the way so that I can slide the console out. Most of the weight here is on this. So once we slide that block out, just slide this out without having any trouble. So if it's hanging up on these legs, we're going to have to lift this up. But it hinges up there, so you can just lift that up, and you're not actually lifting any of the weight of the unit. So the console is the piece that most of the videos I've seen have had an issue with, so I just want to show you unboxing. And I know this part is open when you receive it, but it's being protected by this, so this area that's open is probably the most well protected part of the whole unit. So we got that in here. Pop pockets. Lots of styrofoam. There is a peel strip on here, which I'll peel off after. And on the screen here, it looks like there's a peel strip on that as well. That's perfect. Absolutely no problems with this. Nice big screen. One thing I've noticed with the different unboxings is the different years have different features on here, and the buttons are in different spots, and the size of the screen is different. So this is being unboxed. It's May 2020, and this is what it looks like here. Large screen. Okay, so there's the unit out of the box. I did leave the green bags and the clear bags on just so that I could have no confusion when I'm putting it together, which side is the right and which is the left. The console is separate over there. I just wanted that out of the way so I don't accidentally throw something at it. A lot of people will tell you that the most exercise they got out of their new fitness equipment is getting it in the house and setting it up. And well, nobody hopes that's going to be true. It's certainly a lot of work getting this downstairs and setting it up. So, but I hope to get a lot more use out of it. Okay, packaging. There's my small bundle of non-recyclable material. I really wish somebody would find something else because we only get 2 bags of garbage, and that's almost my whole week's worth of garbage allotment there. However, all of this recyclable material I can take down to my recycle center and get rid of it real easy and at no extra charge. So there's my non-recyclables. Hooray environment. There's my non-recyclables. Okay, so I'm just gonna move the old unit out. Now the old unit was probably less than 1,000 new. I bought it used. We paid, I think, 150 bucks for it. It's a Tempo Fitness, I believe comes from Canadian Tire, and it is pretty simple. Goes up to 9% grade, 9 miles per hour. There's a couple of programs in it, and basically starts and stops, and there's not much to it. I think one of the rollers is got a bearing that's wrecked and it's making a little bit of noise, and there's 4 of us in the house that use it pretty heavily, so it's going out and the NordicTrack is going in. But I want to kind of build it in place. I know they move easily, but I don't want to have to juggle 2 of these around today. I enlisted the help of my oldest daughter to help us set this up. Neither of us have had any experience setting up anything before, and this went pretty smoothly actually. The instructions are very well laid out. It's very simple. What you see us do up here next is feed the power cable up the right hand side. So there's a fishing string already attached there, and you just have to tie the power cable to it and fish it up, tie it up at the top, and then later on there will be instructions to untie and discard the fishing cable. Again, read the instructions and you should have no problem doing this. It's not a really complicated procedure. You will need to have some tools of your own. It does come with the Allen key for some of the screws. You should still have a Phillips head screwdriver, and you should have a 14mm socket as well. Probably there's 1 or 2 bolts on there that are hard to get at with a wrench, with a ratchet. So you should have a combination wrench to get in there and just get some of those hard to get places. But I did most of it with a ratchet and a 14mm. Also important to note that all of these bolts, just finger tighten them at first, and then once you get everything put together, then you can go back and re-snug everything up. It's just going to make it easier to line up all of your other screws if you have these ones have a little bit of wiggle room to them. If they're all really tight and all snug, then you won't be able to get future pieces in. So once you get everything put together and all of the screws in, then you can go back and re-tighten them. Again, it does say that in the instructions, but that's something that assembling anything, if you have any experience assembling anything, you kind of know how to do that. So just follow the instructions and you'll be fine. So these covers that we're putting on right here, first off, make sure you put the wire through the top of it and try not to pinch it. But when you slide that on, you can't put it all the way down, otherwise it will cover up the screws that you're going to need to tighten later. So just put them on loosely over the top, and then you'll confront it after you tighten up those bolts. By this point, I've got all of the bolts holding the main arms tight, and all of the screws holding on the little luggage rack, I guess, the little storage compartment here. They're all tight. Everything is tight at this point. Also important to notice in the pack with all of this bolts in it, they're all labeled as to how big the bolts are, but they're also, and more importantly, and easier to follow, they're labeled as to what step in the manual you're at. So step 3 has certain bolts, and all the bolts are labeled step 3. Step 15, all of the bolts are labeled step 15. So they're very easy to find, very simple to get the proper screw in the proper place, so you don't get you're missing any parts later. The first thing you'll do when you're putting the console on is plugging it in, and that little plug-in, it only really fits one way and it fits in really smooth. So if you have to force it at all, you've probably got it in wrong. Just if there's any resistance at all, you've probably got it wrong. Don't try to force it. It should just snap right together, nice and easy, with no problems. Also, it's all pretty dark back there, being the underside of a black object, and all of the screws are black and all of the parts are black. It was really helpful to have a flashlight to shine up there and just make sure you're positioning everything right. So have a flashlight on hand. You'll see me there with my cell phone and the flashlight attachment on it, and you'll see how I use that to just kind of find the screw holes here and there. But it's pretty handy to have that flashlight around. Right here is where we found our one and only problem putting it together. So first off, the bar that goes in here, there's a label on it that says go towards the track. And then it slots into these two little brackets in there. And the one side was clamped a little bit too much and I couldn't get the bar in. The right hand side, you'll see, slides in real easy, but I'm struggling to get it put in to that one side. And it turns out that that was clamped a little bit. I'm not sure if they welded it incorrectly or what happened, but I had to muscle it in a little bit, use some persuasion. Okay, so this has to fit in the back here, and this side here is good, but this side is too tight. So I'm gonna have to force it in there. This piece here, unless I can get it in this way, maybe. All right, try it. Just need a little bit. So you can see me struggling with it quite a bit, and I had to use a hammer to widen it up. And once I got it a little bit wide, I could get the piece in and then hammer the piece in. I didn't want to be too aggressive with the piece as I didn't want to damage anything, but I eventually got it in mostly, and then I used a C-clamp to squeeze it in. Now, hopefully that's not every single unit, just a defect in this unit. I was glad that I was able to get it in because I don't know what they'd have done if I'd have called the help center. It's not like they could just send me out a new piece. It's welded right to the frame, and it's the bulk piece of what the whole unit is. So it would have been difficult for them to resolve that one had I not been able to widen it even just enough to get it in. But I was able to get it in with a little bit of ingenuity, and hopefully that is, again, just this one particular unit and not on every unit. So I don't expect that everybody should have that problem. That doesn't quite fit, so we can just get rid of this.
I love C-clamps.
C-clamp it in. Let's hope that is enough. Come on, push it in.
Is it even on the actual bar?
Yeah. Making some headway on it. Okay, spin on this. There it goes. See? There it is.
And in he goes.
And the rest we can get with the screw. After that snag, everything else went smooth. It was just that one little issue we had. Now, when you're putting in the piston, the top part of the piston has a plastic plug in it, and that's so that the piston doesn't slide down inside the housing. So you want to leave that plastic plug in there and push it out when you put the screw back in, and that way you won't lose the piston inside the housing. Basically, it's just like that. Okay, let's get this off. Welcome. Can you see that? Can you turn this up? There's not a whole lot of movement in this screen. Ooh. Select the Wi-Fi network. There we are. Imperial Outpost.
Lock the screen.
How do I get numbers? Exclamation mark. Join. Use metric. Yay, metric. Although we can't change these to metric, they're going to still be in Imperial, archaic. But at least the screen. Eastern Standard, Mountain Standard Time. Okay, next. Apps downloading. Okay, so that's the old one. The old guy, which seemed like a regular sized sort of treadmill to me. And now you look at the new one, it's so big. It looks so little next to it. There's from the side. You can see how much bigger the running surface is. And that's really the difference you get from $1,000 model to a $3,000 model. it's quite a bit different. Now also the new one, the NordicTrack, is higher because it does a decline as well, so it has to be higher off the ground to accommodate for the decline setting. So, yay, you successfully updated your firmware. That only took about 15 minutes. Nice big screen. It's bigger than a regular tablet. Continue without, I guess I'll continue without signing in. So if you're in Canada, I guess you have to sign up on the computer. It won't let you sign up on the unit. That doesn't make much sense. There's a calibrate the incline that it says that you should do first thing. Check firmware to calculate the incline system. First, touch your name on the upper left corner. Next, select the settings, main menu, then select the maintenance section. Settings, account, equipment, maintenance, calibrate incline. Begin. Back to 0. Finish. So that was our unboxing and building of the unit. It went all pretty smooth. All together took us about 3.5 hours. That included the firmware update time, and everything worked. Everything was perfect. Everything went together well, except for that one piece, which we had to persuade its way in. The unit works really good, and hopefully very soon I'll have some experience with it, and I'll put up a review on the unit itself. Thank you for watching, and if you liked it, if there was some information in here that you found useful, just shoot me a comment. And if you have your own experience, put that in the comments. We'd like to have a nice discussion about this unit so that other people can find it helpful and hopefully get theirs put together without any problems as well. Thank you very much.